Welcome everyone. It's great to have you joining us on this beautiful spring day. I hope you can hear the birds in the background. There's a breeze. Hopefully you can hear me okay, but you know what? We're on this journey here with the start of Holy Week. And if you don't know the triumphal entry for Jesus into Jerusalem on this last week of his life, I strongly encourage you just to go online, thanksgiving.church, listen in for a Palm Sunday message that really gives a context. We're starting this week, and there's a lot of unusual stories in the final days of Jesus' life. And we're going to hit a few of these over the course of these next few days, just to really center ourselves, put a priority on what Jesus has done for us. What's so unique about this story amongst any other story in the world is that in the end, the hero is Jesus, but not like any other Marvel movie or any other superhero. In the end, we get to play a piece of being that hero because of what he does for us. When we follow him and when we trust in him and we learn what he has done for us, we get a little piece of that success. We get a little piece of that freedom. And in some ways, that's all it takes for us to redirect our lives, to have this new influence and this new perspective that you can't get anywhere else. And so we're going to look at some scripture. This is my Bible here. And so if you have one, great. And we're going to do some unusual texts. They may not texts that you hear all the time. And so I hope you stay with us throughout the course of this week we call Holy Week, leading to the glorious event, Jesus being risen from the dead. And we'll learn more about that on Easter Sunday. So again, you know what? No matter where you're at, what you're up to, don't be intimidated by this. This is just a chance for us to grow and learn together. And trust me, I didn't know all these things at once. This took years of me working through this. And so I hope you find this exciting, fruitful, and just gives you a little bit of hope, especially in the time we're in right now. And so you aren't going to just hear my voice. Hopefully you hear from some other people within our Next Gen ministry, even our students. And so be excited. I hope you tune in and roll with us on this, what we call Holy Week. So our first text we're going to look at is actually found in the Gospel of John. And John is one of the four Gospels that shares in the life of Jesus. But what's so cool about John is really known as the best friend of Jesus. And he gives a totally different perspective, more from just a place of the heart on what Jesus meant to him and meant to all those that were introduced to him. And so, and invited in Jesus' life. And that's so cool to hear. But we're going to look at chapter 12, and we're going to look at the first few verses here. And I'm going to read this, and then I'll try to paraphrase it a little bit through kind of what is our response and what does it mean for us today? Because sometimes these stories they just seem unusual and they don't really connect with who we are and what we're going through today. So I hope you find some goodness in this. So starting at that first verse in chapter 12. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus arrived at Bethany, where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Here a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Then Mary took out about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume, and she poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. Now, one of his disciples, Judas of Iscariot, was later to betray him, objected. Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages. He did not say this because he cared about the poor, not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help to himself what was put into it. Leave her alone, Jesus replied. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. Now, what a curious story. Jesus is in his final week, and there's a lot of things that he knows that his disciples, and sometimes we aren't aware of what he's going through, what's happening, the struggles. And so I'm curious, and this is really my question for you, and I think this story really shares in that. What are you captive to? What captivates you? What holds you hostage? And it's usually good things. I think about how we have a toddler in our house, and this toddler, she loves Frozen 2. And anytime she's fired up, anytime she's just upset, and us as parents, we're just tired, and we're just like, you know what, we give up. We're gonna let you watch Frozen 2. And we just get a little peace and quiet, we feel calm. How many of us do that? I mean, she's perfectly fine after that. Now, there's some good and bad in parenting on that. But the bigger point I'm trying to make is, why is our toddler captivated by that? She doesn't worry about what's going on around her anymore. She doesn't care who the people are in her life at that moment. She just cares about that video screen. And I think about what we are doing, especially in this time of COVID-19. How many of us are being held captive to things that are taking us down a path that we can't come back from? How many of us are captivated by just watching another Netflix series? How many of us are captivated by just playing more Xbox? How many of us are captivated by listening to one more song by someone maybe that really isn't someone we should be listening to? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, what happens when we just get so captivated by these things to numb us, to quiet us, to keep us at peace? But unfortunately, they only last for a little bit, because once the Frozen movie's over, or your song's over, or that Netflix series is over, you're going, okay, oh, I'm still in the same mode I was before. I'm still going through the same anxiety. Yeah, I may have put a pause on it by doing these things, but it hasn't truly helped me. It's gave me happiness for a couple hours, but it's not making me feel happy in my heart. When we think about this woman, we think about the desperation she went through. Nothing else she could do to support her family. I think about that. So she becomes a prostitute. She does the only thing she knows she can do in this time. And that's what she does. She does the best she can. And I know many of us are trying to do the best we can. But she meets Jesus. She meets Jesus, and for the first time, she's feeling freedom. She feels like there's another way for her. She's going to find another way than having to become and stay a prostitute, to stay in that sin that she knows is hurting her and taking her soul away. But she had gotten good at it. She obviously was making a lot of money. She was able to purchase this perfume. And back then, you didn't always get to take a shower. So when you had that perfume, that really good perfume on, men were attracted to her. She got the best business. I know that's sad to say, but let's make a spade is a spade. And so here she meets Jesus. She's turning from her ways. And then every day she wakes up and she sees that perfume. She's going, you know what? I could go back to that life. I could go back to that life right now. She was captivated by that because it kept reminding her of her past, kept reminding her of not thinking about where God was leading her. And so she brings it to Jesus while he's sitting in a meal, and he pours it and cleans his feet. Breaking the captivity, breaking the temptation, breaking that old life completely, and truly freeing her from what was hurting her most. That sin, that brokenness. Was it a sin? She was trying to do what she needed to for her family? Absolutely not. But she was hurting herself. She was becoming empty inside, and she was, my guess is, she probably was realizing for the first time in her life she wasn't going to be able to take care of her family emotionally and spiritually. And she met Jesus and goes, wow, this is what I've been looking for. So much that she would break everything away that was holding her back. Students, parents, wherever you're at, whoever's listening, as we continue this week, ask God, what is holding you back? What do you need to break away from? What is holding you captive and keeping you numb, keeping you kind of soulless in here? If it's the music you're listening to, I strongly encourage you to take steps to walk away from that. If it's the next Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever, put it on Apple, ask yourself, do you need to watch another miniseries on something? Or maybe get to know the people that you're living with in your house a little better, or play a board game, or do something that is fruitful. If it's Xbox, video games, whatever it may be, ask yourself, can I just do this a little less so it doesn't consume me? And if you look at it and you're trying your best, but every time you look at it, it sucks you in like that perfume probably was for that woman, put it away. Move it to another room. Do something different. And ask yourself, what is one thing this week you can remove from your life? And it maybe will open your eyes to the freedom that Jesus really wants to give you. I love you guys. Keep in touch. Stay tuned. More things to come this week. And we'd love to hear what maybe you're breaking away from. Break away from it. Don't be held captive. That's the slavery that Satan wants you to be. And though you may not understand that yet, trust it, because it is real. All right. Peace. We'll talk soon.